What's up, everybody? I'm Evan from Tatum, and today I am joined with Mathieu Gaucheler from Maltego. He's a subject matter expert there. Maltego is a really interesting link analysis tool, and they've just integrated Tatum to allow you to do some pretty cool blockchain analysis stuff. So, what's up, Mathieu? How are you doing?
Hello. I'm pretty good. What about you?
I'm doing great today, I would say. um, so fine. So tell us a little bit more about what Maltego is. Give us a quick rundown and tell us what you can do with it.
All right. So very quickly, Maltego is a link analysis tool, which means that it's going to represent data on a graph and not maybe on a table as you're used to see. So that's one first thing. You're going to be able to see the correlation between different elements much more easily because it's a graph. So it's going to really have all the links converging in the center, this kind of thing. So it's going to pop up. And the second element is that it's a one tool to access a lot of different services, a lot of different API. So that kind of saves you time not having to open 25 different tabs to check up on 25 different services.
Great. So what can you do with it with this Tatum integration?
Basically, Tatum is going to allow people to scour 6 different blockchain in Maltego. So to just explore the blockchain and see what kind of transactions are going on in there, who is receiving money, who is sending money, all of this for free.
Awesome. So we talked about it before. You've got a pretty interesting use case for us today. How did you stumble upon this investment opportunity?
Yeah, well, as, given all what has been going on with crypto and so on, especially with NFTs this year, I was looking to get into the game myself and just try to invest. I have some money on the side, so I wanted to see what I could make it work for. And I stumbled across this website, which seems to be extremely legit, as you can see. It is a Bitcoin mining with quantum computer opportunity. So basically, they offer you to rent bots to mine Bitcoins, which is already kind of a nonsense in itself. Like if you had the bots in the first place, you would just use them to mine Bitcoin. But anyway, so if you scroll down a little bit to the bottom of the page, you have all of these different robots offering. And you have this little text here. Who are we? We're a group of cryptocurrency engineering, quantum researchers, and blockchain developers. Yeah, so that's really pretty interesting. And the payouts are supposed to be daily payouts to your wallet. All right, so that seems pretty good. But before actually dumping some money into it, I wanted to check how legit this was, right? So what I did is that I just copy pasted the addresses that they gave me to Maltego, and I wanted to see who gave money to that and if they actually get their money back in return, So that's what we're going to do right now.
Cool. So, and before we jump into it, so what transforms are we going to be looking at? What do they specifically do, each little function here?
Yeah, so what the transform we're going to be looking at are annotate balance. So we just have an address in Bitcoin. It's going to give you to tell you how much is left in that address. Pretty simple, like looking at your own wallet and saying, oh, there is 20 euros. Wonderful. We're going to also use a transform called to output to incoming and outgoing transaction. So to see the transaction coming to an address and leaving from an address, so the money coming and going from an address. And that is kind of a specificity of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in particular, something you cannot always see in fiat currency. So something like euro or dollar. Let's say I go to buy a panini. I give 10 euro to the cashier takes 10 euro, give me a panini, that's great. There's only one person giving money, one person receiving money. In Bitcoin, things can be a bit different. You can have several people participating in a transaction and several people receiving in a transaction, right? So this could be, for example, all of my friends and myself going to the panini place, and we pay for panini, but we also pay for something else that is unrelated on another street, and this is a way to mix different transaction and gives a bit of cloaking to this transaction.
Interesting. So it sounds like it can get pretty complicated pretty fast. So
yeah, that's also the point of looking at it in Maltego, the graphical link analysis tool. Everything is under your eyes. It's not just a page or a line. It's a little bit easier to visualize, as we're going to see right now.
Awesome.
So we're just going to start from the Bitcoin address they gave us. And the first thing we want to see is if anyone actually gave money to that address, right? So usually for this kind of services, they generate one address. I mean, for Bitcoin in general on the web, if you don't have like a specific account or something to prove that you sent the money to that address, they would generate one specific address just for you to send money at. This way, if money is sent to that address, they know it's you. But here, not first, but another red flag, this address is the same for anyone. You don't need to authenticate, you don't need to do anything. So it's just going to give you an address and go on, send money, trust us, you're going to get some back. So we're going to see if anyone has been donating money to that. All right, we had 9 incoming transactions. So that's interesting. The first thing we want to check is actually the input addresses in that. So as we said, in a transaction in Bitcoin, you can have several benefiters and several people actually giving money. So we're just going to check the input addresses, the people actually giving money in that transaction. Okay, and it seems that for once, things are simple, and there is only one Bitcoin address per transaction. So that's interesting. Let's take a look at the time of the transaction. So as we can see here, this one was made 15th of October, 2nd of October, 15th of October, 18th of October, and so on and so on. So I'm showing you that because they say daily payouts, right? And they say return back to your wallet. So we should see, if they are honest, we should see incoming transaction returning to these addresses at least one day right after. So we're just going to try and see that if they're really coming in, if the money is really coming in. So we're going to do to input transaction once again, and see what kind of money is coming in, if they're actually getting their return on their investment, and if so, how much. All right. So as we can see, some of the addresses went under the graph. This is because of when you do a transaction in Bitcoin without getting into very complicated details, you sometimes have to have another little transaction coming back to your address, and this is going to change the order of the graph. So I'm just going to put the transaction right back, the address right back on top, and we can see that some of them indeed have transaction coming back. Are they actually from the people renting the bots? We don't know, and it would take quite a lot of time to investigate, but we can look at some other transactions, some other addresses. For example, this one, only one outgoing transaction, only one incoming transaction. The outgoing transaction was made the 15th of October at 12:39, and here the 13th of October at 07. So what this means is that there is only one incoming transaction to that address and only one outgoing transaction. So this person, the person operating that address, used money to actually give to that bot renting service, and they never got anything back because this transaction was made before this one. So that's already quite weird for something that advertises daily payouts, and it's been now, quite a lot of time, almost 2 months. So yeah, they didn't get their money back. If we take a look at these ones, so that was made 15th of October, and this one 15th of October, but at 10:54, and this one was made at 6:42. So this one is also has been made before this one. Yeah, so we could continue quite a bit, but the point is that several people donated to that and didn't get their money back. So that's already something quite concerning, I would say, if we want to really go on and give money to that or invest in these ASIC quantum miners.
Sure.
So that's really quite kind of a red flag. The next thing we can do with Tatum, of course, is follow the money, where it is going, and see what happens to it, and if we can trace it to possibly an exchange, a dark market, or maybe a Bitcoin Tumblr, which is a privacy service for Bitcoin. If we can trace it to an exchange or something else, this could mean the funds have been cashed out and the people just definitely scammed. So we're going to see what's up with that. To do so, we're simply going to run to output transaction to see what are the output transaction made from this address, where has the money gone. And we got several transactions. We're going to see the output addresses, what are the addresses receiving the money. Very good. So we have several. And from all of these addresses, we would like to know where the money went. So we're going to do again 2 output transaction. Just going to wait a little bit for that. And it seems one has been doing a bit more transaction than the other. If we look at this one, we can see here 26 transaction, whereas all of the other one only had 1 transaction. So that's quite interesting. Something we are going to do then is check how many Bitcoin came through that address. To do so, we're going to use to detail, annotate address balance. And this is going to give us a quick rundown of how many Bitcoins went through that address. And we got 4 Bitcoin received and 4 Bitcoin sent. So that's at one point earlier this month, that was $2,000, maybe a bit less now, but that's still quite a hefty sum of money. So what we're going to want to do now is just separate all of these transactions and check what are the biggest transaction in all of this. To outline a transaction or outline transaction in Maltego, what we're going to do is use a custom view. So views in Maltego are a way to represent entities differently based on certain parameters, right? You have some default view that are already present, like this view, which is going to make the entities larger based on the number of incoming links. So as we can see, this one has a lot of incoming links because it has 113 transaction incoming to that address. So this address is really huge on my graph because it has a lot of incoming links. But what I'm interested in is Bitcoin transaction, which is why I made a specific view that is going to help me and highlight the transaction with a very big amount of Bitcoin riding on them. So I'm just going to select it here. And I can see already that there are several that have a lot of Bitcoin involved. To know how much, I can just click on transaction and read here. So 421 Bitcoins, that is a quite heavy, that is a gigantic amount of money. Here again, 270 Bitcoin, 260 Bitcoin. Here we have 70 Bitcoins, 660 Bitcoins, 106 and almost 400 Bitcoins. There's no need to look at all these transactions. The point is, this is an enormous amount of Bitcoin that is being moved through and in which this address has been participating. So this address might be tied to an exchange or a darknet market, this kind of things. So this is the kind of things we're going to want to investigate. And to do so, what we're going to do is actually use another integration in Maltego, which is CipherTrace. So CipherTrace is going to do some correlation for us All right, let's come back to a normal view. And it's going to tell us to which wallet an address belongs to. So we're just going to select all of the addresses that the scammer, or sorry, the person renting the bots have been giving the funds to. And we're just going to check who actually the scammers gave money to from the funds that were given to them. So we're going to go to cipher trace, to wallet, and see where that end up. All right, we have two results. The first one is FTX, which is, as we guessed, an exchange, right? There is not always that many people that can move such an enormous amounts of Bitcoin. And the other wallet that we get, the other return we get, is actually A1 quality card, which is a dark market. So if you needed another, so dark market, for those who don't know, is a market on the dark web that's going to sell you often illegal goods. And this one, given by the name 1A quality card, is probably a carding forum where people pay for information related to credit card in order to then commit fraud, for example, and try to cash out on these stolen credit card. So just to recapitulate a little bit what we did, we started from a pretty shady looking web page. We wanted to check if it was real, if we were going to be able to earn literally a year's salary every month while doing nothing. And it appears that no, because several people donated and a lot of them didn't get their money back. For the other one, we're not sure. This would require further examination. And when we trace the money and see where it is going, it has either been cashed out or used on a darkened market. So both of these options are not very enticing for us.
Wow. Well, yeah, that's really amazing to see how it's all working behind the scenes with these. I mean, it's a shame that, cryptocurrency does get a pretty bad rap for being associated with stuff like this, but it's really cool to be able to see how you can uncover it using tools, related to the blockchain. And yeah, I guess the old adage applies that if it seems too good to be true, it usually is, even with cryptocurrency.
Yeah, unfortunately.
For sure. So, I mean, supposing Maltego didn't exist, there was no Tatum integration, how would investigators trying to figure this stuff out have to go about it?
Well, what you would do in that case is really using other tools, like, for example, something available right now, if you want to look at it, is Wallet Explorer, something like this, which is going to give you a historic of a particular address. The problem is that when you do that kind of investigation using Wallet Explorer, you're going to, all right, so this address right there gave to all of these addresses. So you're going to click on these, and it's going to open already. You have 5 new tabs that are open. Then you click on the addresses. That's going to open 7 new tabs, and so on and so on and so on. So you can get 2 levels deep, and you're going to have 50 tabs and a brain about to explode.
Sure. So it's just tedious and just manual investigation is what you'd have to do, basically. Well, cool. So, yeah, investigating crypto scams is something this is very useful for. What other use cases could you, I don't know, see for using the Tatum integration in Maltego?
Well, for Tatum integration Maltego, there could be several things. Maybe you would want to check if you're getting paid in Bitcoin, for example. You want to make sure this Bitcoin have not been tumbled, as I said before, because you don't want to. Several exchanges I know don't really accept Bitcoin that have been tumbled because this is linked to a lot of pretty shady stuff, including money laundering. So you would want to check where all of this is coming from. And just checking what people have been doing before with their Bitcoins, right? If you have, if you're investigating someone in particular and you know he has a Bitcoin address, maybe you want to check what kind of transaction he's been doing, who he's been donating to. Recently, I was at a conference and they were profiling someone, and from his Bitcoin address, seeing that he was donating a lot of money to white supremacist website, this kind of thing. So that's also something it can be used for.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, because, the reason for distributed public ledgers to exist is to have that level of transparency, but often it gets a little muddied up with how complicated everything is and with tumblers and with all the shady activity. So this is adding a level of transparency that is actually perfectly in line with the reason for creating blockchain. So that's super cool. Well, sweet. Well, thanks a lot for showing us through this. I mean, I think this is awesome, and I hope it inspires some people to go and dig around in the tools. And yeah, I think this opens up a lot of doors for a lot of different both hobbyists and investigators. So it's super cool. Yeah, if there's anything else, I don't know if you wanted to add anything, but
no, not really. Thanks for having me, and thanks for allowing us to have you, in Maltego, and giving us all these capacities to explore different blockchains like Ethereum, for example. That's really a great one.
Super awesome. So I guess we'll put all of Maltego's details down in the description for the video. And as always, we'll link you to our blog and LinkedIn and Twitter. So if you want to follow Tatum, please do so there. And thanks for joining us. Thanks again for showing us all this, Mathieu. And until next time, happy coding. See you later. Bye.
Wonderful. Thank you, Evan.